General Senona walked into the Madlanga Commission with his full squad. This time, he came fully prepared. He didn't come with any quack lawyer, but this time, he came with Advocate Dali Mpofu. This time, he came to erase his name from the Madlanga Commission. At the Madlanga Commission, his name is synonymous with cocaine, because every single officer who has testified about the 541 kilograms of cocaine stolen from Port Shepstone has told a story that links straight back to him. Welcome to today's podcast. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and relax as we expose this criminal drug lord. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, and tell us in the comment section where you're watching from. Jabulani, roll the clip.
Yes, Mr. Mpofu.
Thank you very much, Advocate Silla and Chairperson and Commissioners. Yes, mine is not going to be a long, Chair. My remit was really to place on the record certain concerns, shall we say, which have been expressed by the General, which we wanted to put up front, and so that his evidence could be seen in context, because these are issues that may arise from time to time, or which might hamper the flow of his evidence. And we would like those issues have been specifically instructed to put them on the record for consideration by this forum or any other forum, should it become ever relevant. And so that we're not accused of raising those issues at a particular time, maybe because there are certain adverse findings or something. These are concerns that we raise, even if they will be favorable or neutral or adverse findings. Chair, what I will do is, so that we don't waste time, I'll just really do a high-level presentation of these issues. If the Commission would like us to present later a more detailed outline of the same issues, then we will be happy to do so. But for now, I don't want to get into much the minutiae. But the first issue, Chair, is maybe I should just say that the general heading really of all what I'm saying is concerns regarding what the General feels has been unfair treatment by the Commission. And that is on the basis that the Commission is enjoined to treat witnesses and everyone fairly. And I think that's common cause. Nobody can quibble with that. So the first of those topics then is the serial refusal by the Commission to furnish information upon request. And again, we are happy to furnish the detail and the chronology, the blow-by-blow of we wrote this letter, we got this nonchalant response, or no response at all, or an unreasonable response. There are many examples of that, but that's the broad area of concern. In fact, without getting into much detail, one of those responses was something like, well, you don't have to know what other people have said about you, just say what you know, kind of thing. And it would be hard to believe that that is a policy of this Commission. Because, as we know, people have a right of reply. I mean, that's one of the most fundamental rights under the broad rubric of Audi Alteram Partem. And in our view, that's why the Commission is populated by legally trained people all around, so that those trite issues of fairness can be observed. The second issue is related to the first one, which is this issue of right of reply. There are various, we understand the difference between, being called here on specific accusations and therefore being entitled to the documentation and being asked to assist the commission and all that. We're not dealing with this at that technical level. But whichever category one falls in, they surely have a right to, at the minimum, to face their accusers, to use the colloquial expression. And facing your accusers doesn't mean literally facing them. It just means knowing what it is that's going to be said, which you might have to respond to. The next issue, which is the third in my list, is that one of the things we have been asked to do is to ensure that there will be no straying outside of the subpoena that has brought us here and the specific issues that are raised there. And that's probably related to what might be the next issue, so I might as well raise it in combination, Chair, just to save time, which is the feeling of the General and us that the issues that he has been asked to deal with have actually been dealt with in his first appearance here. We might be wrong about this, but on our unscientific analysis, he's probably been the witness who has been called back more than anyone else to come back here, despite the fact that he testified for 3 days in January. And
there's a witness that testified for 8 days, Mr.
Yeah.
The days may have been consecutive, I'm not sure, but
Yes,
still
maybe
8
they
days,
were.
so far more than the general.
No, Chair, I don't want to be nitpicking. No, ours is not about the number of days so much than the toing and froing and being called and then called back and then called back. But I take your point, Chair. So if we don't have the gold medal in that, we probably have the silver. So we're still on the...
Mr. Mpofu, can you just repeat the fourth point?
The fourth point. Yes. The fourth point is, I was saying I'm merging it with the third point. That was about repetitive questions. Yeah. So it's if you like, it might be a subset of the third point. It covers Commissioner Baloyi. It covers two issues. One is my original statement that the issue of the break-in, theft, whatever you call it, in Port Shepstone was, as you might remember, I think it was the last topic for his January testimony, and it was covered extensively. The result of that is that you will find that when you read the statement that was identified by my colleague, Ms. Silo, which is LS1, that's where we respond to the specific questionnaire. You'll find that maybe on more than, if there are 10 questions, and I think there are more than that, there are but 15, but more than 50% or even 60% of those questions, you'll find that we actually just the answer is to refer you back to the transcript on many occasions. And that's because the same thing that was asked then is being asked now. And we don't understand why that same information has to be solicited at great expense for the second time, because it doesn't change. And that's why we literally quoted. It was not out of disrespect, but we just quote exactly verbatim what was said before. At least two of the commissioners, and Ms. Silo and I, were once in a commission where that was important. Almost every witness was asked about regulation this and regulation that, But it was not an end in itself. It was for the purposes of determining whether whatever the terms of reference of that commission were complied or not. That's really what I'm saying. So let me make a silly example. If we're going to be saying that General Senona was always coming late at work, right? It might be very interesting and dramatic for television that he came late so 1,000 times. Yeah, but the answer is, well, so what? Because that can only be relevant if, as Commissioner Kumalo says, that was in aid of aiding and abetting and all those things that are in the terms of reference. Then it's clearly relevant.
Arrogant Advocate Dali Mpofu tried to teach Madlanga commissioners how to do their jobs. He said it directly at their face. The commission is losing its focus, focusing on petty issues instead of its actual mandate, and treating his client unfairly. He simply said a case where police officers steal drugs from storage facility is a petty case. Can you imagine that? This is where things starts to get ugly. Jabulani, roll the clip.
Brigadier Naika, who is from head office, and the 2 warrant officers at Port Shepstone offices. Commissioners, my office never received any report or feedback concerning such visit or inspections. Reference is made to paragraph 10 of Lieutenant Colonel Prinslow's statement that he deposited immediately after the incident. I'm saying this, commissioners, because when head office visit any of the provincial offices, the protocol will be that you report at the provincial office your presence, and then in that I'm visiting this office. If it is investigation of a sensitive nature, you just report your presence and you go do your investigation. And I have never received any report from national office or any document in respect of such a visit, as well as the outcome of the inspections that was conducted there. He indicated that he could not...
General?
Yes,
is the point, I'm trying to understand the point you're making here at 12.2. Is it that you dispute that there was such a visit that he speaks to in paragraph 10, as you say, in paragraph 10 of that affidavit? Or you say you accept there was such a visit, but the only issue you're taking is it was never disclosed to you? I'm trying to understand that I don't lose the significance of why you're saying.
Yes, Commissioner, you are 100% correct. I'm not disputing the visit.
Yes.
However, I'm indicating to the commissioners, although I didn't put it here, that the visit initially was never brought to my attention. And thereafter, even a report of such an inspection was never brought or sent to my office.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. He indicated that he could not smell anything suspicious, despite another member allegedly observing a burning smell. Although he testified about the security concerns and challenges at the offices, he failed to escalate these concerns directly to my attention after his alleged unsuccessful attempts with supply chain management. At no stage were the security concerns at Port Shepstone brought to my attention prior to the storage of these drugs there. I think I also testified to that effect in 27 until the 29th. I did highlight these commissions. He also failed to complete the relevant document to the handing over and control of the safe keys, despite him being aware of the applicable procedures. These procedures were not within my knowledge, and I've never dealt with the same before, even in relation to the safe in my office. Commissioners, here I'm saying I am not an expert in the supply chain management issues. There was a document that was presented before this commission by Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo, the handing over of the safe keys and so forth. It was the first time I saw it. I won't know everything in the South African Police Services. When the keys were handed over, I would have expected him to say, Let me complete this relevant document in order for you to sign. And
Are you, sorry to interrupt you, General. Are you talking about the instance where the keys were handed over to you after the suspected container had been placed inside this strong room, whatever it's called?
correct,
All
Commissioner.
right, thank you.
Unless, because he never testified that I tried to complete that and hand so that they must sign for the keys or so. It never happened, and he never testified in that instances. Although I'm saying before this commission, that document, I saw it for the first time before the commission. I won't know everything in the police. Commissioners, he failed to properly inspect the office premises during the afternoon of the Sunday on the 7th of November 2021 and the morning of Monday 8th November 2021, despite observing that lights were on at the ground floor, which he considered abnormal. No occurrence book entries were made in this regard. All I'm trying to highlight here, Commissioners, I testified previously that they were instructed to do the after-hour visit. And I consider this visit of Sunday as one of the after-hour visit, as per my instruction after the storage. But if you do that, you must go and patrol the entire office and check if everything is still intact. What is significant, he knew what was stored there, but he never went down. In his testimony, he said he only went into his office and did what he did, and from there he left. Of which it leaves a vacuum in my mind why he never did that. He further failed to disclose the visit by Brigadier Nyusa to the Port Shepstone offices on Tuesday, the 2nd of November 2021, shortly before the theft occurred. I can confirm, Commissioners, that Brigadier Nyusa also testified here, and he confirmed that he did visit the office on the 2nd of November 2021. But from where I'm sitting, I've never visited that office ever since those drugs were stored at Port Shepstone. In any event,
General Senona completely denied knowing that the Port Shepstone facility had severe security lapses, but that is a blatant lie. 3 officers who testified previously all stated under oath that they had personally informed him about the security challenges at the facility. One officer even testified that the red flags and warning signs were everywhere. This man was the head of the entire operation, yet he claims he knew absolutely nothing about the very facility where these multi-million rand drugs were stored. Think about it, for a competent officer choosing a facility to store a drug haul of that massive magnitude, the absolute first thing you're supposed to do is verify how safe and secure the location is. But no, according to him, he didn't even bother. Brigadier Nyusa completely exposed him in his own testimony. He flatly stated that the entire operation looked like a staged heist. Now, let's watch the video. Jabulani, play the clip.
Later that morning, I received a call from Lieutenant Colonel Jacob informing me that the team searched a container at Isipingo container tap and found 27 black bag containing bricks suspected to be cocaine. I told Lieutenant Jacob to ensure that all necessary and relevant aids were called to the crime scene. I did not have to tell him this because he is a well-experienced investigator, but it was just something I said at the time during the conversation. Thereafter, I called General Senona to inform him of the discovery, and I told him I would update him. A while later, perhaps shortly after noon, Lieutenant Colonel Jacob called me and told me that the team encountered a problem at Isipingo who would not allow the exhibit to be stored at Isipingo police station. He also told me that he had exhausted all of it. By this, I understood him to mean that he had contacted the nearby police station to store the exhibit and had been unsuccessful. I told him I will try to find space somewhere and I'll call him back. I contacted Brigadier Malulega and Colonel Kuzwai of the Forensic Science Laboratory in Amanzimtoti to find out if they had space to store the exhibit. I do not recall if I got hold of Brigadier Malulega or if I did. And he may have told me to call Colonel Kuzwai, but I do recall speaking to Colonel Kuzwai late afternoon. I asked her if FSL had a space to store the exhibit, and she said they did not. I was not aware that Lieutenant Colonel Jacob had also called FSL because he did not tell me. He only said that he had exhausted all avenues, and to me, that just meant the police, the local police station.
Brigadier, where is Colonel Zomo in all this process? I understood that in your response to Commissioner Baloyi, you said Colonel Jacob reported to Colonel Zomo. But here he's now calling you directly and you are taking all the steps. Where is his immediate supervisor in all this process?
I understand, commissioners. He was at the office, but he was never consulted because I think they felt that he did not know much about the operational matters because he was a retiree coming back to work again.
What confuses me is you emphasize that you are not the direct line. They don't report to you. They report to Colonel Zomo. But now it seems like on this matter, they did not regard Colonel Zomo as somebody they should speak to. You were there for the purposes of this operation. You were, in fact, the person they reported to.
I admit the commissioners. I think I'm in 31. I then remembered that when I was the unit commander at Port Shepstone, the premises had 2 strong room safe. What made the property attractive for the DPCI was that the landlord had informed us that those safes could not be breached. They could only be accessed with the key. I was aware of the security lapse at the premises, such as the alarm not working after load shedding, but my main focus was the safe that could be used since it was very secure and could only be accessed with the key. I was also aware that hashish compressed dagga was stored in one of the safe until it was disposed of without any problem. Commissioner, I must also mention that this hashish was from Durban Organized Crime Unit. The investigating officer then was Captain Gopalsamy. And I was still a unit commander when it was brought. In 2018, all Menres tablets were seized at the large clandestine laboratories in Harding and was stored in the same safe until the exhibit was disposed of without incident. I called General Senona and informed him of the dilemma and suggested the strong room at Port Shepstone premises. He agreed and instructed me to instruct the acting unit commander at Port Shepstone, Lieutenant Colonel Princeton, to prepare the safe for the exhibit. General Senona also instructed me to instruct Lieutenant Colonel Princeton to get the spare key to the safe from the supply chain management. Thereafter, I called Lieutenant Colonel Princeton and instructed him to prepare the safe. I also contacted Lieutenant Colonel Jacob and informed him of the arrangement and told him to liaise with Lieutenant Colonel Princeton. General Senona also instructed me to arrange for the provincial tracking team to escort the investigators from Isipingo to Port Shepstone DPCI Soki, which I did. A while later, at approximately 1500 hours, General Senona instructed me to go with him to Isipingo to oversee the operation. I did not think this was untoward because it is a big drug bust and a senior leadership. He wanted to oversee the operation. We drove with my car, and as we were approaching Isipingo, we contacted the team, but they informed us that they were already on their way to Port Shepstone offices. We changed course and headed to Port Shepstone. Upon arrival, the exhibit had already been placed in the strong room, and I could see that they were still in the 27 black bags. Warrant Officer Mpangase and Spear were present. I asked Warrant Officer Mpangase why the exhibit were not in the exhibit bags. He informed me that Isipingo SAPS did not have exhibit bag, but that the exhibit were entered into the Isipingo SAPS and booked out again. This was a concern for me because as an investigator, I knew that the chain of custody must be preserved. However, since I was informed by Warrant Officer Mpangase Warrant Officer Mpangase had remained with the exhibit throughout, the chain of custody was preserved. I accept now that once the team left the crime scene without the exhibit being placed in the exhibit bag, the evidence was already compromised. However, at the time, I told Warrant Officer Mpangase to ensure that the exhibit are placed in the bags and entered into the SAP-13 to preserve the integrity of the evidence. The strong room was locked, and the General Senona asked that both set of keys, original and spare keys, be given to him. Warrant Officer Mpangase gave both set of keys to General Senona in my presence. At the time, it made sense to me that the provincial head should take the keys because this was a big drug bust, and who better to have ownership and responsibility over the keys than the provincial head, especially since the safe could not be accessed without the keys. The following day, 23rd of June 2021, General Senona called me and told me that to inform Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo that Warrant Officer Mpangase will be going to the strong room to take samples of the exhibit. I called Lieutenant Prinsloo and relayed the message. I was not sure why the sample will be taken because it is not my area of expertise, but I knew that Warrant Officer Mpangase, as the investigating officer, will have to place the exhibit in the exhibit bag and book the exhibit into the SAP-13. I had no further involvement with the exhibit because it was the investigating officer responsibility to ensure that the exhibits make their way to the FSL and that the investigation is finalized so that the exhibit...
What an absolute embarrassment. This is exactly what happens when corrupt officers are placed in strategic positions. And as if that wasn't enough, he also denied ever asking Warrant Officer Carl Sander to take a polygraph test. Jabulani, roll the clip.
A letter SLS5, an email that I received from Lieutenant General Libya, the then national head of the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, NO, Major General Suraj Bali, who is the DPCI head of Executive Support Services, dated 5 February 2024, directing my office to engage with the complaint and provide the national head with feedback by 23 February 2024. The complainant's email was addressed to the national head and others, not to myself. I only became aware of the complaint when I received the instruction from the DPCI national head I later received a further instruction from General Suresh Bali to temporarily place the member at another post pending investigation, which instruction I carried out. I do not remember the exact date of this email. I have no recollection of subjecting the member to a polygraphic test relating to the theft of a coffee machine. I should not have to answer this allegation in this statement. I do so out of caution and attach the mails from Lieutenant General Levia because of the very real prospects that these questions may be directed at me, even though I have not received the requisite notices and additional documents from the Commission. Commissioners, I want to add that on these paragraphs, the placement of Warrant Officer Sanders, the complaint, it was very serious.
You clock in through a checkpoint in the morning, you clock out at a checkpoint. There's no time, you cannot go out at a certain time. My only safe space was my coffee machine, and then they stole my coffee machine inside the DPCR. Sorry, I'm laughing about it, it's still so annoying. And I had to get polygraphed because of the theft of my own coffee machine.
Who asked you to be polygraphed for the theft of your own coffee machine?
General Senona. There were other exhibits, there were other items that were going missing in the environment, and again, I was seen as a suspect, and I had to go and get polygraphed for the theft of my own coffee machine.
Do you know if you passed?
I passed. I just want my coffee machine back.
Did you get it back?
No.
Did you see that? Now let's watch the exact moment his defense starts crumbling right before his eyes. This was the moment Justice Madlanga took center stage. The second Senona tried to pull another dirty trick. The justice completely destroyed him with cold, hard evidence. Jabulani, play the clip.
You allow me,
Yes.
what happened after I've testified here. I was taken out of my office at gunpoint and on the 31st of January. I raised the issues of safety, but a ruling was done. I was taken out of my office, escorted with firearms, and I was told not to come back to the office. My tools of trade were taken. Although it's not in my statement, I'm just bringing that under your attention that sometimes we come and testify here when we request for safety, what is it that we are facing? And ever since that day, I am not 100% well in terms of safety, my safety and that of my family.